Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're going to give any latecomers a few extra minutes to join, but yeah, feel free to say hi. This is the Town of Rochester Environmental Conservation Commission's Third Thursday Nature Series program. Oh, Larry's here. I haven't seen Larry's face in forever. Now he's gone. Look at that.
Larry DeWitt. All right.
And then he disappeared.
I'm back. I'm trying to wait. Sorry.
No, hello. Did you get new glasses?
I've got new eyes, actually.
Congratulations.
Not really, but anyway. Yeah, good to see you all, kind of.
Just
Hi,
saying
everybody.
hi. This is
Welcome, everybody. Glad to see you here.
Hi, Madeline.
I hope you're not actually driving.
Not at all. I'm stationary. Don't worry. But I do
Good.
have competing webinars tonight, so I may go back and forth. So I apologize.
Okay. I'll keep my eye on the
But I'm
waiting
excited
room.
about this.
Great.
Thanks.
All right, let me give everybody one more minute. While we're waiting, if you want to send me privately in the chat window, if you want to send a message just to me with your email address, I can put you on our monthly events email list, or you can send an email to rochester.ecc@gmail.com. We promise not to spam you. We generally send 1 or 2 emails about our monthly events, so they're very, very relevant and very, very scarce, I promise. All right, John, what do you say? It's 6:35?
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, so before we start, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mute everybody again. Oh, here's a couple more people coming in. So I'm going to keep everybody on mute. But before I introduce John, if you guys have any questions during his presentation, feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask. You're free to interrupt as long as you do it politely. John's also, well, I'm going to introduce you, John. John is our Vice Chair of the Environmental Conservation Commission. He is also a local expert in invasive plants and specialty landscaping, native landscaping. He's the owner of Poison Ivy Patrol Specialty Landscaping and Hudson Valley Native Landscaping, which he operates out of High Falls. And he's been restoring woodlands and removing invasive plants without the use of chemicals for over 10 years. So this is extremely relevant to all of our needs. If all of you are dealing with knotweed like I am, I'm really looking forward to learning about knotweed. I hope knotweed's on your list.
In the top 10 list, I think so.
Excellent. Okay, good, because it's in my top 10 list. He is also a charter member of the Rondout Creek Watershed Alliance. So if you have any questions about that, you're welcome to bother him about it as well. John is going to do a countdown for us of the 10 most invasive species as part of his presentation. And he is going to be offering, we're going to offer a special prize of a Town of Rochester Environmental Conservation Commission branded tote bag to whoever can guess correctly the #1 most invasive plant in the Hudson Valley. So
first one.
What you can, the first one, number one, the first person, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. We don't have enough tote bags. I'm sorry, the first person to guess it. So if you want, you can play along by sending a direct message to John Messerschmidt. So if you go into your chat window, which you can select either at the bottom of your Zoom window if you're not familiar with Zoom, when you open the chat window, there's an option to select who you are sending a message to, and you can send it right to John, and you can tell him what your guess is at any point through the presentation. And yes, first one wins a prize. So I'm going to go ahead and let John get started. Again, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. John, I'm going to spotlight you, and you can go ahead and share your screen.
All right. So we're going to do this. Share photos. Can everybody share?
One last thing, I apologize. I am also recording this, so we will have it available after the presentation. We're trying to get our ECC YouTube page up, but you're welcome to send an email to us if you have any need for it sooner than that.
Yeah. So
Okay, all done.
we're going to start with 11, I guess, because you know, for the newcomers or for the first people to arrive, you get a bonus 11 garlic mustard. Probably. Oh yeah. And by the way, just unmute yourself if you have any questions throughout the thing there. You know, we can have questions afterwards, but the best thing is when they're up, we're talking about it. You have any questions, how to eradicate it, or if I don't talk about it, or how to identify it, just unmute yourself and ask me the question. Garlic mustard is figured. I'm going to start at the easiest ones are the ones that you can do yourself, and garlic mustard is easy to do yourself. You can, these are the first year garlic mustard. They don't come to maturity until the second year, so there's no seeds involved. You can pull these out of the ground very easily, and this is the time to get it when they're in the first year. They have these rosette kind of looks about them, and what else? There's going to be some pictures about this. After they start to go to seed, after they mature, that's when you got to get them early on. So there's a couple of pictures of garlic mustard. Here's first year garlic mustard in a patch of vinca. This is garlic mustard that came up after clearing out a section of whatever other invasives there were. We cleared out the edge of the forest, and the first thing that came up, as typical, was garlic mustard. So here it is right here. So you know, you can never get rid of invasives on the first try. You have to. There's a seed bank in there that's going to last about 3 years, and something else is going to come up. If you took out a bunch of honeysuckle or something, yeah, honeysuckle is going to come up, but something else is going to come up first, probably going to be garlic mustard. So you're going to have to deal with that. This is the mature. What we're going to look for here is these stalks here where all the seeds are, and these have already gone to flower, so it's too late to do anything about that. Other than pull them out. You can pull this up yourself. There's a flower. So if you do pull them up, you don't want to throw them off in the woods because they are going to go to seed anyway. So I tried this experiment wherein took a pile of them, and you can see how the root structure is down here, how the taproot comes out and goes sideways, and then they sprout out from that. So all these little side roots here, they're all going to sprout out from that. So they're going to turn into a big mat of roots here. So I laid them down there, and this is probably a couple of days after I laid them down, and just to see what was going to happen. And what did happen was right here where they're all starting to poke up to the sun. Here's the roots and everything. They're not quite dead yet. Here they are poking up towards the sun. Everything is dying from the bottom up. So all that energy is going towards those seeds. So far, the theory that they're going to go to seed anyway is holding true. Now the leaves are starting to die. Flowers are kind of wilting. Here's the stems. The roots are dead. Stems are dead. We still got the seeds going. And here's another one where the seeds are nice and healthy. Caught a spider on that one. Now they're all dead. The stems, the roots, but the seeds are still there. So if you're going to pull them out, put them in a plastic bag. Number 10 is mugwort. Everybody's pretty familiar with mugwort. Also, these deeply lobed leaves. Now this is ready for business. our its natural environment. Now it's getting a little bit closer to September. The seeds are millions of seeds. Each each invasive has its own strategy for removal. For mugwort, it has a really deep rooting structure. It's like a nest of roots. The only way to get rid of that is to dig it up. Better to do it before this phase where it's starting to flower. Dig it up and put it in a plastic bag and take it to the transfer station. And do it again next year and the year after that and the year after that, and then you'll probably be okay. If you have a huge infestation, the best thing to do would be to, if you can, get it in shade and mow it. We've had projects where there's a lot of garlic mustard. Or mugwort, I'm sorry. How we did it finally was to just mow it down. Just mow it and keep on mowing it because there's just no cure for it. Just keep on mowing it, and eventually, especially if it's in the shade, it'll start to go away. And then there's the seeds. And if you mow it, it's not going to leaf out. It's not going to get any bigger. Probably won't get much smaller, but at least it won't go to seed, and you have a chance. And stilt grass strategy for survival is to produce as many seeds as possible. And the payoff, or the price for that, is that it dies. Stilt grass is an annual, so they don't come back year after year. These plants will be dead after they go to seed. The other strategy for survival for this plant is that it has rhizomes, and it will spread on out, become very, very long, and lots of roots to pull out. What we do for this plant is to, in the month of August, before it goes to seed, we hack it down with a weed whacker. And you're not going to be able to get a weed whacker inside this pile of sticks here. So generally, when we do this work, we go in the fall before, clean up the sticks, clean it up, get ready for the weed whackers, and then we go in and we cut it all down in August. If we do it too soon, it's going to grow up anyway. It's going to come to maturity. And it's going to go to seed. So you wait for August, and it doesn't have a chance to do that. This is a property where the client decided to spray it. And that happened just a couple of months ago. And it seems to have worked. We don't do that. We only use organic. And I don't know that I would recommend it, but she's desperate to get rid of the stilt grass. And you can see where she stopped it. I think it's probably going to be effective. Like it or not, I think it might be effective. Is it going to kill the seed bank? I don't know. We're not going to know that until next year or the year after that. So she did that part, and it was spreading out. This was in a bowl, and it spread out up onto the hill. So we can buy and weed whacked. Well, we what was left, what she didn't spray. Or she didn't spray it, she paid someone to spray it. You can't spray something like this with this kind of and this is just something I saw on the side of the road. We did not cut this because we would have brought it all the way up to the trees. But somebody came by with a mower on this one. And here we are cutting it all down. And that's what it looks like. English ivy, number 8. There's nothing good about English ivy. Well, maybe people like to see it climb up their houses, climb up walls. Really, beautiful English look until it gets way out of control and it takes over the house, and then you can't look out the windows or walk in the doors. This is a client's photo. We haven't cleaned that up yet. That's about a couple of weeks from now. We're going to take that out. Here it is in someone's garden, climbing up their beautiful dogwood trees. That has been cleared out. I don't have a picture of that, but we did clear all that out and turn that into a workable garden. It took a while to get all those vines off that tree. We actually had to do that back in the spring. We came back the next spring to get it out because they were hanging on too tight. There's dirt up there. There's insects and fungus just completely surrounding the bark of the tree. And we were able to actually save it before the tree finally, before it damaged the tree. And all the shrubs there most of those are gone now because they're just completely trashed. And here it is in the forest, killing all of those trees. Honeysuckle, beautiful flower, very fragrant. Oh yeah, the berries, right around June, July, the berries start coming. Birds eat the berries because they got nothing else to eat. They're not very nutritious for them, so they have to eat a lot of them, and they poop them out all over the place. That's how that spreads. Honeysuckle, the way we get that out, they have a very shallow root system. So you can kind of rock them back and forth and get them out very easily. They're not hard to get out. But you can tell by the arching branch structure. This is the inside version of the plant. And this angle right here for the honeysuckle. And this flaky bark. Multiflora Rose, number 6. So this flower, it's pretty, right? You can also notice this one by these arching canes, kind of the same structure as the honeysuckle. With the same kind of an angle coming up like that. And we have the rose hips that I believe you can make tea out of or something. I haven't tried it, but I believe you can. There's life in the thicket. And the best time to recognize rose is in the month of June. In the summertime, you can go see all the fields all around the area, drive down the road, and it's very recognizable because of the flowers. Very recognizable. It also likes to climb up trees too. Here's some honeysuckle mixed in with some Ailanthus trees and bittersweet too. Looks like. Number 5 Barbarian. I can't see anybody's comments, so I don't know if anybody's guessing what number 1 is yet. Number 5 Barbarian. Everybody loves Barbarian. Oh yeah, they love Barbarian. They go to nurseries and buy it, in fact, because it's so beautiful. Got these little petal flowers that bloom for about 3 days. Got these beautiful thorns, nice stem, beautiful berries, turn red in the fall, late summer berries. Really beautiful, beautiful plant. Until it escapes the yard and goes out into the woods and takes over the woods. And they actually made Barbarian illegal a while ago, but the nursery industry somehow were able to deplete their stock, and now they've developed a barberry that does not propagate somehow. It doesn't have seeds or berries, or it's somehow not escaping into the wild. You know? So you can have your own barberry bush in your own yard and not have to worry about it escaping, I guess. And here it is, very recognizable in the fall. This is on the rail trail. Wisteria, number 4. Honey, let's plant a wisteria. Let's put some wisteria up on our trellis, and it'll have some nice purple flowers, and it'll be so beautiful, and we'll have purple flowers. It'll smell great, and it'll be lovely until it starts going out into the woods, and they call me up and, John, come up and take care of our wisteria. It's kind of escaped into the woods. It's climbing up all the trees. The strategy for removing wisteria, they have these, first of all, it spirals up the trees, strangles the trees at the cambium. Wisteria has these long runners. Here they are, these long runners. They'll go straight out away from the bush. And each one of these rhizomes here develops a taproot. So there's a taproot here, on every 10 inches or so, there's another taproot. What we do in the fall is cut the runner from the taproot. Let's see if I have a picture of that. Don't really. Cut the runner from the, so there's be a taproot here. If this were a larger plant, a taproot along each one of these. Cut the runner from the taproot. And then what's gonna, because the taproot's too big to dig up, too deep. So you come back in the spring when the taproot has shrunken back, and then you can dig it up. But if you don't come back in the spring and dig it up, you're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 new Wisteria plants. So we have to follow that up with digging up the roots at that point. Much easier to be done in the spring. This is one that's just way out of control. Here's where a giant Wisteria root, Leandra, is climbing up a tree, Liana, and here's where the new one is pulling down the old one. They do that to the trees too, pull them down. The cambium are the tubes going from the roots up to the leaves. They're right along the outside of the stem, and it's right where they're being strangled by this Wisteria. This is the spring where the new shoots are coming up.
John, before you move on from Wisteria, there's a question about whether there's a type of native Wisteria. Is there?
I don't think there's a native Wisteria. I know that there's, Trumpet Vine is very similar to Wisteria, and there is a native Trumpet Vine, but I believe it's still aggressive. But I don't believe there's a native Wisteria. And there is a native honeysuckle. If you got to have something that's going to climb, there is a native honeysuckle that is a climbing vine that you can get at Catskill Native. But I don't believe there's a native Wisteria. Wisteria is a huge, huge problem because it's just you can't deal with it. I don't see anybody's questions here. I'm not sure if maybe because I have the share screen. Chat 5. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. Here are the questions. All right. Goldenrod. Oh, no, it's not goldenrod. It's not loose strife. Stilt grass. No, we did that one. Japanese stilt grass is the most common. Yeah, everybody has stilt grass. Everybody's got that. Everybody's got stilt grass, and there's basically nothing you can really do about it. You know, we can try to weed whack it back. You know, but it's kind of expensive. You just kind of to live with it, and even if you cut it back, your neighbors is going to blow into your neighbors. But you can maintain it. You can keep it to a minimum. Garlic mustard is edible. You can put that in your salads. I've got a kind of garlic mustardy taste, and it's also good for tea. No, mugwort is good for tea. Garlic mustard, you can have it in your salads. Mugwort, you can have it in your tea as a tea. It's not bad. I've had it, and there are other menstruation cramps or something like that that it will help with, and things like that. There's nothing completely all bad about everything, except maybe so far English ivy. You know, I haven't found anything good about that. But stilt grass, I don't think there's anything good about that. But mugwort and garlic mustard, those are fine. And yeah, we weed whack the stilt grass. Let's see what else we have here. Loose strife. Loose strife isn't even on the list because I mean it's everywhere, but it is a pollinator bird. Pollinators do go to it, and it's not as pervasive as some of these that I'm getting up to here. So I'm not calling that here. Mention that there is a non-fruit bearing barberry. You know what? I just saw that that somebody was selling barberry, and I didn't look closely enough to see whether there were berries on it or not. But I did look it up briefly on my phone and saw that there is a non-reproducing barberry. How they made that happen, I don't know, but I'm kind of appalled that they would try to still sell barberry after all these years. And what everybody knows about it, whether they say it's non-invasive or not, I'm not sure whether I believe that or not.
Hi, John.
Yeah.
I have a question. How do you guys have a good, like a way of removal for the barberry? I'm like battling that constantly.
Yeah. The barberry, we dig that out, and if you get the crown, it's not going to come back. You just get 6 inches away from the root ball.
Okay.
All the little shoots that come out, the roots that come out, they're yellow, bright yellow. You can see them. You don't have to get all of those. All you got to do is get the root ball out, and it dies.
Okay, sweet.
It's not easy. Not easy.
Yeah, it's not.
I'm not trying to
It's
say
not easy.
but you can get that out. And it's a lot. It takes a lot to get that out.
Yeah, it's a pain in the neck, that's for sure. Thank you.
Yeah. But you still have to deal with. Actually, I haven't really found much of a seed bank either, really, from barberry. We've taken out a lot of it, and some of it will come back, and it might be just the smaller ones that we couldn't get to because we were focusing on the big ones. But when you get it out, it pretty much stays out, so it's not too crazy. Here's a note that Wisteria frutescens is a woody vine that produces beautiful hanging clusters of purple flowers. Species native to North America, a good alternative to the Japanese and Chinese wisterias that we've seen pictures of. So apparently there is a wisteria that is native, according to Judith. So no one's guessed the #1 invasive yet, right? All right, so let's move on to what happened here. All right, #3, bittersweet. This is just everywhere, and I guess I'm choosing whether to, what is the #1 invasive compared to the #10 invasive? Well, 10 is easy to get out, and even though it's everywhere, it's easier to get out and it's easier to maintain. Whereas as we get closer to #1, it's way more difficult to get out. It's super damaging to trees, which are my main focus, and really just everywhere, like the beautiful bittersweet, where it has a nice little yellow berries, and you can make a nice bouquet, or what do you call those things, a wreath out of it, and hang it on the wall, and in the fall, and then when you're done with that, you can throw that out in the backyard, and call me up in a couple of years because it turned into this and this, going after this red cedar, completely taking up all the water from the ground, taking up all the sunlight from the leaves, pulling the branches down. Spiraling is easily identifiable because the spirals, like the wisteria, spirals around. Here it is, just completely gone wild. I was pulled this branch down for years, just pulled that branch down. And also look at all the dead branches on this tree too. This is not this is a really old, I don't even know what kind of a tree it is. It might be an oak or something, but or maybe a maple, I can't tell, but just a very unhappy old ancient tree that's completely being killed by this bittersweet. And probably other things too, but we're talking about bittersweet right now. This is mostly bittersweet here. And there's what it's doing to the cambium, strangling this tree. This will never become an old tree. Japanese stilt grass, how does it spread? What does it look like at different stages? Oh, Japanese stilt grass? It looks the same. It's basically the same. It'll have little seed head. I haven't actually taken any pictures of the seed head. You can go out in your backyard right now, though, and find them. They got seed heads right now because it's too late to take. Well, you can still take it out, but be careful of those seeds. I don't think they're actually mature right now, but they're on there. You can go out in your backyard and take a look at it and see what they look like. And then actually they look kind of nice in the fall. I don't have any pictures of that either, but they have nice color in the fall. And they're on the edge of your yard. When there's in the middle of the woods, it's kind of depressing.
This is Rick. When did you say was the best time to either mow or weed whack the stilt grass? I know before it goes to seed, but would that be August, the month of August, or July?
Yeah, I would do August. July is too early. It still has a chance to come back up again. The woman who used the broadcast spray, she did that in June or July, I forget now, and you could see that it is starting to grow back when you look closely. I didn't know I was going to do this presentation at that time, otherwise I would have taken a picture of it. But you can see where it's starting to grow back from where she killed it, where it was sprayed. Underneath where the dead branches, where the dead leaves were, it was starting to grow again. So if you're going to somehow find someone to spray that, you would probably do that in August as well, although it's pretty high in August. But that's when we weed whack it, in August. Anytime during the month of August, you're safe. If you wait towards the end of August, you're taking a chance because the more sunlight it gets, the more, the sooner the seeds are going to mature. They'll mature slower in the shade than in the sun. Number 2 is grape. And because that is just as damaging as, I don't know, I think it's probably more damaging than the bittersweet, because they got these tendrils that, let's see if I have a picture of a tendril here. Yeah, maybe I will. Tendrils that hang onto the branches, and you pull them off and they break the branches, and if you're not careful, and you're actually, doing more damage to the tree. Although it's great to cut them off and get them off the tree. This is my favorite grape patch. I go past this on Route 9 going up towards Germantown pretty frequently, and I always enjoy driving past this and see how much has changed over the years. And just my favorite Mexican restaurant is right across the street from this, up a little ways. Coyote Flaco is a great Mexican restaurant, so I get to see it and have a little Mexican food too in there. But this thing is just like a monster. This is, here it is in the winter. I think these are all apple trees. So I went underneath it one day and checked it out, see what it looked like underneath. And here you can see the massive grapevines coming out of the ground here. With all the, there we go.
John, how do these compare to the southern kudza?
I haven't seen that, so I don't know, but I have a feeling that they're more of a small vine than the thick, heavy grapevines that are climbing up to the trees, climbing up all the way to the top of them. I have a feeling kudzu is more of going over shrubs. But I haven't seen it here. I think it's coming here. I think it's in New Jersey. I think it's getting closer, but I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
A little more climate change and we'll get it.
Yeah, we'll get it here. Actually, I was in Virginia a while ago, and their version of honeysuckle is a vine that's climbing all over the place. Whereas up here, our honeysuckle is a shrub, and it doesn't really climb up the trees. The rose, they'll climb. This is a shrub that will climb up the trees and have these long vines climbing up the trees. But the honeysuckle pretty much stays in shrubs. Cat law, I don't know what cat law is, so that's not the number one. The number one worst invasive species that you will see everywhere. Right now we're at number 2 is grape. And actually, grape is actually a native. It's not even invasive. But the Europeans, I believe, came here and started making wine all over the place, growing grapes, and then left the farms, and it turned into a disaster. And I don't care if it's native or not. We're taking it out because it's too damaging to these trees. Look at how it shapes the trees. It pulls them down. This tree on the right here, somebody must have taken it off at one point. You can see it's pulling it down and pulling it to the bottom. They're just struggling. You got these water sprouts coming up here, trying to get sunlight, fighting against the vines. And you know, it's easy to find in the fall because you know, it changes a pretty color. It's pretty. It's nice. But you can see it easier in the fall than you can in the summer if you're not looking for it. But this is losing a lot of sunlight too. This is actually a couple of years ago. I have to go by there again and see. It's between Rosendale and High Falls. See how that looks today. I guarantee it doesn't look as clean as that. Easily identifiable by its flaky bark, big knots like that. And oh yeah, so how to get rid of that one? So you cut that off around knee height. If you can pull it off the tree without damaging the branches, it's better. I much prefer to be able, and you can pull grapevines off a tree much easier than you can pull bittersweet, because bittersweet's got these long alternate branches coming out and grabbing onto other branches of the tree, whereas grapevines just kind of have one main leader. But if you can pull it down, then I would do it. But if you can't, cut it off about knee height. And if it's in the shade, you have a chance of getting rid of that massive root there, you know, the massive vine, by coming back in the springtime, and you'll see about 5 or 6 new sprouts coming off of where you cut that. So you cut that off a little bit lower, and then you come back the next year and then you cut that a little bit lower again, and then it eventually gives up because the tap roots on this are too deep to dig up. But you have to keep at it, and it's got to be in the shade. If it's in the sun and you got one major one, maybe you take a couple of trees down and now there's too much sun, you have to keep at it for a couple of years. All the invasives you have to keep after for a couple of years. I forget where I was going with that, but let's see. There's the tendrils. There's the grapes to be. I've eaten them. They're not bad. Not like store-bought grapes. But if they're in the sun, then they're a lot better. These are in the shade. Oh yeah, there's a Norway Maple right here. Didn't make the top 10 list. Should be a top 20 list, really. It would make the top 20 list. Norway Maple would definitely make the top 20 list.
So the grape, this grape plant is basically gone feral. It's a normal food-producing, grape-producing, domesticated variety that went feral.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you get it in the sun, if you take care of it, you'll get grapes off of it that you can eat. You know, they have the seeds, of course. You know, they're not the ones that are seedless that we get to eat all the time because we don't spit out the seeds. But they. This is actually. This is actually. Here's a grapevine right here, and this is actually very similar to grape. It's porcelain berry. I don't think you can eat those, but the berries are really pretty. I should take some. I might actually have some pictures if this goes fast enough. I can show you some photos of invasives that are outside of the top 10 that are more like the top 20. But anyways, those are porcelain berry. They have this W shape. When they're really mature, it's a really elaborate W that you can see out of that. So they're identifiable. And here's another. So nobody's guessing yet. No, I'll keep going. Here's all the water. You cut those things down. When did we cut this down? Let's see. April 2015. Okay, so April. You cut that down and you just watch the water just pour out of that thing. That's how much water is going from the ground up to the top of that grapevine at the top of the tree that the tree could be using every day. 1.5. Okay, so knotweed used to be the number one, but I added something else there. So knotweed was number one because it's just everywhere. So that now we're making it 1.5 because I've added a new number one. So everybody familiar with knotweed? Just take a. Some of you are saying yes, and some of you are saying no. So this is what it looks like from a distance. You got these nice, you know, it was brought here because it was beautiful and attractive. And it's not unattractive. It's not bad. It's got these arching double leaves here. Really beautiful. Look at that. Opposite leaves. It's probably a relative of bamboo. Here's the stalks. You don't want to mess with knotweed. If you got knotweed on your property, you got problems. Here's it just coming out of the ground when it's actually edible and quite tasty, kind of a lemony asparagus type flavor. You can eat those right out of the ground like that. You don't have to cook them, and they're okay. You cook them, they're even better. So if everybody's hungry in the springtime, go out there and eat up all the knotweed, and then next year come back and eat some more. And do it every year, and it will always be there for you. There, this is the sprout that you want to get. At a certain point, though, I believe they become poisonous. So you want to catch them when they're like this level here. And right now, this little guy here is starting to get some photosynthesis happening, which is what we do not want. We've been trying to eradicate knotweed for about 10 years now. We tried pretty much everything that we could think of. Well, this is Wisteria right here. That would be on my list too. As an invasive. That does absolutely nothing for the environment, but everybody loves it so much that you know, it didn't make the top 10 list. Everybody loves to plant wisteria. I mean, not wisteria. Did I say wisteria? What's that stuff? Forsythia. Forsythia. This is actually in Central Park, ancient wisteria, and then here's the knotweed growing up all around it. And here's the summertime with the, it's just starting to flower. Here it is in full bloom. Pollinators actually love it. So we got something going for it there. But it's all, this is the best time to find it, to see it. Once you recognize what this is, you're going to see it everywhere. And here's the payoff right here is in the fall when the seeds come. Rain comes and the rain washes all the seeds into the roadways, and then it gets on the tires, and the tires can take the seeds down the road even further. It goes down in the ditches, and all the seeds get washed into the rivers, to the Rondout Creek, into the Esopus. And then, let's see, where was it? I just had a couple of loads of dirt from a local nursery. I don't want to badmouth Tilson Nursery, Calico Nursery, but we got their topsoil on 2 of my jobs, one of them my own house, and knotweed started coming out of that soil. So be careful of who you buy your soil from. Ask them if they have any knotweed in there, or ask them where they get it. They're not going to want to tell you where they get it. Croswell, I buy my soil from Croswell now. They convinced me that they have no invasives at all in their topsoil. It's more
You
expensive.
said knotweed is, oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to ask, you said knotweed is pollinator friendly?
Yeah, there are wasps all over that thing.
Wasps.
Yeah, wasps. Probably have seen bees, but mostly I've seen wasps on them.
Okay.
And that's happening right about now. They're not. This is in the fall. This picture right here. Right now they are in about that stage right now. Watch out where you get your soil. Oh yeah, leach fields. If you have foundation work and you get dry fill or any kind of dirt brought to your property, even compost, possibly, you want to make sure that you don't have any knotweed in there. The roots and the seeds. They get when they do a perk test. When you put in a leach field, they get their dirt when they cover that up from the bank of a river, and they meet all the health requirements. And I know this because I saw it happen. The contractor was there who bought the soil, and he said, no, we had it tested by the DEC. They tested it. It's got a perk test. You know, they do a perk test to make sure, see how fast the water sinks into the soil. They tested it, but they didn't test for knotweed. And where did you get that? We got that from the Esopus Creek. And immediately it was like, oh, Lamontville is where they got it from. And the Esopus Creek is probably the most knotweed infested creek, probably worse than the Rondout. Rondout, the Esopus is probably what the Rondout's going to look like in 5 or 10 years. And we're going to see proof of that here in a second. So now the leaves have fallen off. So watch where you're getting your soil from.
So what's the best way to, I've got a knotweed root that we've tried digging out. We've cut it off every time it comes above the soil, and it just seems to keep coming back.
Yeah, you're only getting the surface root. You're not getting the root ball.
I have to find the root ball.
and you don't want to.
Okay.
Because you start messing around with that root ball and it's going to spread. That root ball is so loosely packed and so virulent. I don't know what the word is, but it's like the size of on a full-grown plant is probably the size of a beach ball or a basketball. And it's got all these little roots coming out from it, and that's what you're pulling out. You're pulling out those roots that are attached to the stalks. And that's fine, pull those out, but don't touch the root ball, because you dig into that and you take that shovel and of dirt and roots and you throw it behind you to go for another round of root removal, and you just spread about 1 million roots all over your dirt. You have to leave it there. And I want to explain this picture first here on the side of the Rondout Creek here before I tell you what our latest strategy is for removal for knotweed. This is what happens after it's gone dormant for the season. These stalks go down, and the seeds go down the river and get washed up, because the rondel's always going up and down, by 2 feet or so. And so does the asopus. So this is what it looks like downstream from the Sandberg Creek. I'm just going to go forward a little bit and show you a picture of the Sandberg Creek here. There it is. There's that. This is the headwaters of the Rondell, flowing right into the Rondell. This is probably about, I don't know, we walked probably about a square mile through nothing but knotweed and trees and nothing else. So all these leaves, all these seeds and stalks are flowing down into the, so let's go back here and I'll show you what we first tried. You know, you go online and say put landscape fabric down, so we put landscape fabric down and around this guy's pond, and we dug up all those root balls. We dug them all up there, and we took all the stems out, and we took them to a safe transfer station, just like so much you couldn't even believe. And then the next, and here's a fall picture of it, and here's the knotweed coming back up in the seams and where the trees are. So, you know, that didn't quite work out so well. Here it is. Here's a close-up view of the knotweed. Eventually, what he did was he didn't hire us anymore. You know, that was a waste of money. He hired a guy who actually lives in High Falls, Tom Lewis, who sprays knotweed with a herbicide. Tries to inject it into the stem if it's a fully mature plant right around this time of year. And then when that dies in the springtime or another time later on, I'm not sure when exactly because I haven't seen him do this, but then they have to broadcast spray it. So I believe that, and I've seen a property a year later that, not this one. I saw this one actually like 3 or 4 years later. I thought I had a picture, but I don't. This property here is a really nice, it's actually quite beautiful. I think they probably added, I think maybe they cured the knotweed problem and added about 50 or 60 yards of dirt and planted grass on it, and it looks really nice. Those trees are not there anymore, I don't believe, and it looks nice. So I believe he finally solved the problem. I don't know how much it cost him ultimately to do that, but that problem was solved. We tried, so we tried that. What else have people tried? I don't know what people have tried, but our latest plan is to hope that it's in a area that can be mowed. If you can mow it, if it's in rocks and trees, I don't think there's anything you can do about it. But if you can mow it, is your area, Madeline, was that you? Are you able to mow it?
Most of it, but then it goes into an area that's rocky. I think that's where the root ball must be.
Yeah. If you can mow it, then what we do is in September, this is the latest strategy, and we're trying it out on 2 jobs right now. We will pull it out in September, like right now, and take that surface root that you're talking about, that you've experienced, pull that out with it and take it to a transfer station, or goats love it too. If you have a goat farm near you, they love knotweed. You pull that out and you level out the dirt, and then you plant grass seed, because September is the time to plant grass. Plant grass seed and you mow it. Once it's grown, you mow it every week, and then in the springtime, since you've taken that surface root, I'm thinking that it's going to take a little bit of time for those sprouts to come back up again. So you put more grass seed down if you need to in the springtime, and you get a nice big head of grass on there, and you mow it every week. And then when the sprouts start coming up, you mow them off along with the grass. And it's never going to go away. It'll always be there, at least for the next several years, I'm sure. But it'll look good from the kitchen window. Let's see, Judith says, I know Judith has been working on knotweed on her property. I saw it there, and she's got a lot of shade there, so she's got that going for her. Not going to solve the problem, but she does have some shade there. She says she keeps pulling and pulling, and every time she gets another section of root, sometimes 2 or 3 feet long, it comes back, but weaker, and I pull it out again over the season, about 5 rounds. Eventually, the root ball starves, because what you're trying to do with the mowing is starve it of the photosynthesis. You don't want any leaves to form. Now like the root ball is getting energy from the roots, from the sugar that are in the roots. When every plant goes dormant in the fall, it's because all the sugar is coming down from the leaves and is not being replaced anymore by the water and energy coming up from the roots, because they're being stored. So it's storing all that sugar into the roots for the winter. So you got a battery of storage underground in those root balls. And that's why he sprays it or injects it with herbicide, with glyphosate, in the late summer, because all the energy is going down into the roots at that time. If you try to inject it in the spring, it's shooting up from the roots and it's not going to work. So he's trying to kill that root ball. You have all the sugar in the roots, and it's going to keep on trying to get more. It's going to gradually run out of juice. The battery storage is going to gradually run out of juice, and theoretically, it doesn't have enough energy to get bigger, to increase the patch. It's trying to. It doesn't have enough energy to get more leaves, so it can get more sugar. But if you're not going to get the entire patch, if you were able to stop the entire patch, you're still not going to stop the plant, because there's still mycelium fungus underneath that's still feeding those roots from all the trees. So it's still feeding that sugar into the roots. It's separating all that sugar and distributing that sugar around. So you're still not going to kill the knotweed, but you're going to make it so weak that it can't get any bigger. And that's all you can hope for. Okay, so there's no more questions. We'll move on. Oh yeah, this is coming up in the concrete in a parking lot in Poughkeepsie.
There is one question from Iris that she asked a little bit ago about the best way to tell the difference between the Japanese stilt grass and the smartweed. Named smartweed.
Oh, I missed that one. Between smartweed, I don't know what smartweed is.
It might be knotweed, but it was auto-corrected, possibly.
Let's see, what is the best way to tell the difference between native smartweed and Japanese stilt grass when smartweed is not blooming? Smartweed, I don't know what it is, so I can't tell you, but once you get to know stilt grass, look in your backyard, you'll see it, then you'll recognize it when smartweed is not blooming. Can't answer that one. So these people don't know what knotweed is. They see these things growing up in their parking lot. They don't know what to do with it. And basically, there's nothing to do with it. There's nothing you can do with it. You just have to keep cutting it down and tell people not to park in that space. This right here is in Delhi, New York. I'm not sure the name of that river, but soon to be the Rondout. And this is Central Park again. This is someone's unfortunate backyard next to their house. number one, Ailanthus, nobody gets it. Oh, dang. Maybe we'll do some kind of a drawing then in that case so somebody can get the tote bag. Ailanthus is the new number one because over the past 10 years, I mean, it's just gotten so out of hand. If you cut this tree down, it will sprout up. This is that imbalance between the canopy and the roots. It goes into shock and starts shooting up sprouts all along the roots. You'll see this all along the roads because Central Hudson doesn't know what Ailanthus is. They think it's sumac or something. So they cut it down to keep it from going onto the wires, and it keeps sprouting up so it becomes like this big monoculture of Ailanthus. These are the seed pods here. They're happening right now. You can see, you can go out your door probably, or drive down the road, and you'll see it seeding right now at this point. This was just taken a couple of days ago when I started preparing for this. There's a difference. So here's the Ailanthus. It's these little nibs right here. That's how you can tell. One way you can tell right there. And this is a walnut. You see the difference that this has got serrated edges. And this has got a smooth edge.
What's the one on the top?
This is a walnut.
Okay.
It also, sumac also looks like it too, but sumac, I didn't happen to have a sumac right around me, so I didn't put a sumac in this picture, but sumacs, I believe, also have a serrated edge too. The easiest way to tell is to crumple one of these leaves up in your fingers. This one will smell like lemon, nice smell, and this one will smell like a horrible, foul odor. I don't know what it smells like. It smells like Ailanthus to me. So if you wonder if you have that in your yard, the first thing you want to do is do not cut it down. If you have a small one, you can dig up the entire root. I think I have a root. Here we go. Here's a baby one. So just imagine this 20 times bigger. It goes out sideways like that. And then these, when you cut that off, these will sprout out like that. So they'll go out sideways, and if there's rocky stuff, they'll go parallel to the ground. So you can't really dig them out. If they're about an inch and a half, let's say caliber, inch and a half diameter, the tree itself, you could probably dig that out eventually. If it's bigger than that, it requires a lot more effort. And what I've found here, and this is, I believe they can spray this one also. That's interesting. I believe they can spray this, but here's the trunk. But when we tried to do this the past couple of years since it's hit the radar, I banned it. I girdle the trees. I only girdle. I consider the entire patch of Ailanthus as one Ailanthus plant, as one entity, and I'll girdle 1/3 of that because I'll do it, you know, in the next couple of weeks here, because just as the leaves are starting to change color, because at that point there's still some sugar up in the leaves, and there's an equilibrium between the roots and the leaves. The roots are just starting to collect a little more sugar and starting. What time is it? Okay. Roots are just starting to collect a little more sugar, and if I abandon that, the leaves don't really know what's going on because they're kind of at an equilibrium. They're just kind of like static. So by girdling, I mean I strip off the bark, all the cambium, the tubes that are connected in the roots to the canopy, to the leaves. I cut those off, scrape them all off, and the tree doesn't know what's going on. The roots don't know what's happening because it's at an equilibrium. They're okay. And I'm only doing 1/3 of the plant, not all of it. So it just feels like maybe it's having a bad year. It's kind of sinister, actually. But um, um, so let that ride, and come back the next year, and take another third out, and then come back the year later and take another third out. Take the rest of it out. I believe that's going to work. We've only been into this for 2 years now on these jobs that we've been doing, so we're going to see. Or you can get a backhoe and dig them all out, which I have seen. Success rate on that one. Or you can get Tom Lewis, trilliumism.com, and he'll spray it. Otherwise, I wouldn't mess around with it too much. Then there's just just a matter of how you feel about what third you're going to take out, which ones you're going to take out. So it's blurry here, but that's the kind of the bark structure right there. Is kind of a smooth bark. It's got these lines going up and down, kind of like crosses. It's hard to tell with this one. Oh yeah, and this is one of our jobs. Somebody came by, and I was saving these Ailanthus, and then she hired a tree guy or somebody, and somebody came by and cut them all off. And I went there, and here they all are sprouting like crazy on all these sprouts. Are coming up all over the place, and it's all rocks, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about that one. And that's it. That's the end of the show. How do you get out of this? There we go. Stop share. Oh, there it is. Okay. Any questions? Everybody still there? Anybody there?
Yeah, I have a question,
here.
Tim.
Okay.
Are all the invasive, are all of these invasive except for grape? I mean, are they all coming from some other country?
Yeah, they all come from another country. Yeah, from usually China, Japan. Some of them were brought here accidentally. I don't think stilt grass was brought here intentionally. I believe that was ballast in or packing containers or something like that. They used it for packing the grass. Wisteria, probably. I don't know about garlic mustard. I'm not too sure about that.
I heard that pioneers, the English pioneers, brought it in order to have something to eat in the early spring.
Yeah, it's probably true. Yeah, and even English ivy. Horticulturists actually bring a lot of this stuff out here because they think, oh wow, this is a great thing. The botanists. Let's bring some of this stuff out here. That we found on vacation in Ireland or someplace. And they bring it back here, and they say, oh, isn't that beautiful? Oh, you have such a great fine specimen. But I don't know about bittersweet. I don't know that bittersweet. I can't imagine why anybody would bring that here. Anybody else? All right then. Well, then we're going to close it up here. Then we're going to tell you about a couple of. I'll tell you about a couple of other shows that are coming up here, or people who are coming here. October, we're going to have a forestry. I forget his name now, but he's going to tell us about how they've been managing the Catskill Forest, how they've been managing forestry for the last since the Indians to today. What they're doing today to manage the forest. So that's going to be a great one. And in November, Watershed Educational Park is a new park that the ECC is combining with Andrew Faust, a permaculturist, and Chris Hewitt, who's on the town board. It's sort of their pet project. There's some solar panels that they put up, and they found a lot of really nice, valuable forest, or I don't know if you can call it forest, but woods anyway, and a stream that they're turning into a park. So we're going to have a presentation on that in November. And in December, the Hudson River Watershed Alliance. So we're going to find out about aquatic animals and fish and things like that, and how valuable swamps are to the ecosystem. And we have a bunch of other stuff lined up here too. We have bird experts coming in here, and farm hub, that kind of stuff. So sign up on the email list and be informed of when these are happening. Someday they'll be happening in person again, probably not too soon. So we're lucky, we can just watch it from home. And the
I recorded
address.
this, so it'll be available online afterwards too if you want to go back and reference anything John said.
Thank you so much. It's been really educational.
Actually, John, I have a quick.
Thank you, John.
I have a sapling that looks like a walnut tree, but could it possibly be an, what do you call it, Ailanthus tree?
Well, you can tell by is it serrated, and tell by smelling one of the leaves. If it's a foul smell, it's Ailanthus, and dig it up.
Okay. And which one is serrated, the walnut or the Ailanthus?
The walnut is serrated, and it's got kind of a lemony smell. Sometimes of the year, not all times, but sometimes.
Okay.
A lemony smell.
Cool.
So if it's Ailanthus, definitely dig it up late. Walnuts too, they're kind of aggressive too. I wouldn't call them invasive necessarily because they are native, but they're rather aggressive. Since nobody got the number 1, we have to figure out a way that we can give away one of these tote bags. These are really beautiful tote bags. We're still designing them. We're in the finishing phases, and we're gonna have them produced here in the next month or 2, and we're gonna give away one of them for each one of these on the Third Thursday speaker series things that we're doing. How can we do this, Madeline? How can we get one tote bag to go to somebody?
Sorry, I was muted. Did anyone guess the second or third? Did anyone get close?
Oh, did anybody get close? What if anybody just names one of them? Let's see. Nobody, loose strife wasn't one of them. Stilt grass, well, that wasn't a Japanese stilt grass. Rick Jones said Japanese stilt grass. That's one of them. He's the only one that guessed one of them. How about Rick? All right. All right, you got it, Rick.
Yeehaw!
Excellent.
You'll be the
Rick,
first one.
You'll have to give us your email address or contact information so we can reach out to you when we've got the bags ready.
Okay, super. Thank you.
All right.
Nice job, John. Really nice job. That was excellent. Thank you.
Woo!
Thanks, John.
All right.
This was great.
Stay safe.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody.